Hi, folks. Thank you for joining us today. This is Damon here from Vidigami. I'm joined with my colleague Kalina. Let us say hello.
Hey everyone, great to have you all logging in. Thank you all for joining us today. Great to have all of you on here and learning how to get buy-in from your faculty into school. So a lot of you wonder where to start, and so this webinar is for you. So just jumping right on in, just want to quickly intro myself and Damon here. We are your success team, and just wanted to give Damon a chance to also just say a quick hello again.
Thank you. Yeah, so as Kalina mentioned, we are the success team. You work with, I'm sure, at least one of us, maybe both at some point in time. And yeah, we're really excited to kind of help your admins. We're going to talk to you about some tools that you can share with your staff members. And if you are a staff member joining the call today, hopefully we can wow you a little bit and just kind of convince you in terms of why Vidigami is the obvious choice for you as well. So I'll let Kalina start off.
So just jumping into the next slide, what I want to immediately just jump into is that, many admins that we've chatted with have spoken about having concerns surrounding adoption when launching to their faculty, launching Vidigami to their faculty. And so we're here today to help admins through that initial launch, as well as walk your faculty through how easy it is to use Vidigami and the ways it can benefit their day-to-day by saving them time. So just a few initial suggestions to help prepare for this launch for admins. One thing you want to keep in mind as a key suggestion that we always like to mention is that when getting ready to launch, you want to consider finding your heavy content takers within this particular group of end users. What that means is looking for faculty members who already post their own content regularly to other platforms like Instagram or Seesaw, and approaching them to get them not just trained on Vidigami, but to tap into their content as well. We have a ton of materials and templates that we'll definitely discuss later to support you with this, and we even offer training sessions for this first group of key users to make sure that they have a full understanding of how easy it is to use the system, and they can jump right on in. The one point you do want to highlight to them is that Vidigami is a great way to show off the work that they are doing in their classrooms with everyone in the school community, in addition to just their select classes or teams. So this is not just that, but it's also a great way to showcase what their students are accomplishing as well. So another suggestion that we always like to tap into is that with launching to this more key faculty content providers, it gives you the chance to make tweaks to your structure and organization. You're able to launch smaller groups, you can test out how the structure is working, and then you can proceed accordingly and tweak as you need. The other benefit to making launching to a smaller group, it makes adoption that much easier for the rest of your faculty. They trust those that are in that first group, and they can learn from one another. And it also builds up each of these users as Vidigami advocates and pros, so that for later waves when launching to the rest of your community, whether it be families or students, it'll just continue to build upon itself over time, so that everyone is well informed and people can actually go back to this initial group and get help when needed.
Perfect. So what we're going to focus on right now moving forward is how will Vidigami help you. This is very much geared to those staff members who are on the call, or for those admins who are looking for ideas on how to kind of work with your staff members and really kind of get them to buy into Vidigami. So in today's session, we're going to talk about how, first of all, Vidigami is quick and easy to adopt. So we'll talk about the resources and the tools that are available to you that you can share with your entire staff community, and you'll really see how a big push on our end is to make your staff successful. We really want that to happen. So we've put together, our marketing team has done a really great job putting together a lot of really awesome resources for you. We're also going to show you how using Vidigami will save you time and effort when it comes to sharing your content. So it's going to make it a lot easier to share that content out with those parents and make your life a lot easier in that sense. So that's something we're going to have to make sure that you guys have all the information on, as well as it's going to help improve parent engagement in the classroom. So we'll show you the different features available in Vidigami and what you as a staff member may do. That's going to really make your life a lot easier when parents are engaged in those classrooms. So we'll go through some of those in detail in the following slides coming up. But again, just wanted to point out to you guys, if you do have questions as we go through these, keep feel free to asking those questions, as well as, what might be great is, if you could share some of those tips that you may have, we'd love to share that with our community as well. So if you don't have a question, but more so an idea or a suggestion, please feel free to drop those in the chat box as well. We love hearing from you guys and what's working and what has worked and what you've learned, and sort of help, copy paste some of our other schools that, that way we can kind of give them the best information based on trial and experience. So start things up, how it's quick and easy to adopt. Well, we have a bunch of free tools. First off, we have community training tools. The link that's there, by the way, is going to be included in that cheat sheet, so don't worry about having to write that down. We're going to have that available to you. But in that link, you will find a number of resources that are available to you. So first off, we'll have some videos. Now, these are really, really great because some of the admin users, we've done some long, detailed training sessions, but of course, teachers and staff members, you are just insanely busy. You don't have that kind of time. So these videos we have are about 2 to 4 minutes or around that time frame each. So you can watch them at your convenience. You can watch them on your phones or wherever. It's super, super simple, and it's going to give you a good idea of how you can navigate around Vidigami. It's just basic things. How do you upload and just kind of making sure you know how to navigate through the application. So it's very simple. Once you kind of get in there, you'll start figuring it out. It's very much like a lot of the other apps you may already be familiar with. We also have some email templates. So again, for admin users, if you are looking to kind of have that catchy template to share with your staff in terms of why they want to buy into Vidigami, we have some examples of that. So feel free to use those. As some of you may know, and for those of you who don't, Vidigami does offer you the ability to send out custom invitation emails. So it doesn't have to be that generic email. You can kind of really put some flair on it and just make sure that it's sort of captivating so your community gets it and they're excited about it. And of course, we have guides. So again, there's a lot of information available. If you're not sure how to do something, you can look it up on one of our guides. And I think the key thing with the community training tools is that you always have your CSS at your disposal. So should you have questions that either one of the videos don't answer or the guides don't help you kind of figure it out, or even if you want to bounce ideas of what kind of email templates to do or anything else in between, please don't hesitate to reach out to either Colleen or myself. We're happy to make the time to connect with you and just book a session where we can go over those options. Additionally, we also have a mobile device application. So if you have an Android or an iPhone, it is super, super simple. You can just download the app. You can then use the app to log in, upload your content. We'll talk a bit about that, but it's a very, very easy way to get into Vidigami and start using it without complicating things a little too much. Speaking of which, the mobile app, oftentimes one question that does come up is, hey, do I have to remember another password, or is this another thing that's going to be on my radar that I have to always make sure I'm remembering? Sure, if you like doing that, that's totally an option. You can sign in with your credentials, but as you can see from the image here, we do have some social sign-on options. So if you have a Microsoft 365 account or a Google or Facebook account, and you just like using those credentials, just go ahead and sign on with that. One less thing for you to have to remember. It's just going to be in there. We'll save it through that, and you'll be in there and good to go. So again, signing on will be a breeze for you. I know in the past, we spoke to some schools that often said that the athletics department is really engaged, right? The coaches kind of become those active users. They're at the games, or the assistant coaches, they're taking a lot more pictures, and then they kind of start building that content out, or any extracurricular for that matter, right? Maybe you have a drama club where obviously a photographer goes in and really takes a lot of photos. Mm-hmm. So those are some of the really key users we're seeing. But at the end of the day, the classroom is really one of the best places. All of us have our mobile phones with us. The cameras on those phones are so good these days. It's just super, super simple to just take it out and take a quick picture and keep parents involved in that. So teachers always end up being some of the more obvious choices for our schools, I find.
Yeah, and definitely with like lower school, we find that there's a lot of heavy engagement coming in from parents, and those teachers typically end up taking a lot more content to accommodate those requests. Mm-hmm. So that's one other place you could start looking if you're not sure where to start. So just jumping into the first couple of ways in which faculty can start sharing out content to their peers and families with very little effort and in the interest of saving time. I do want to talk about, the ability to actually share out a direct link to an album and its content. And this is a way that you can either, just share out that content or actually encourage your community to crowdsource content from them. A great use case that we've heard is that would be for field trip, along the lines of what Amanda suggested. You could do a field trip retrospective for your class. Many East Coast English classes take a trip out to Salem around this time of year when reading Arthur Miller's Crucible. This event can easily be documented with Vidigami from taking the photos, and for students and faculty, they can come back, access that content easily through that direct album link as to share their individual experiences in either a class blog or a presentation at a school meeting. So that's one way, and I believe Damon will actually talk about the next option.
Yeah. So I think one of the most amazing features of Vidigami is the ability to tag student works. So this really connects with those art students and those art teachers. You have all of this work your students are putting together. They could be the paintings, it could be in woodshop and creating these awesome birdhouses or anything along those lines. As a staff member, you can very easily upload those pictures and tag that student work specifically. What's different about tagging student work versus just a student in the image is, when you tag a student in the image, it's more about the life, the experiences of the field trips, the classroom. Student work is a place where it's kind of filtering out just the actual work that they're doing, those projects. So when a parent logs in, I'm sure they would love to see hundreds and hundreds of pictures of their kids, but as a teacher, if you really want to push out that content in terms of what they did in the classroom specifically, the student work is a great place to do that. It's going to filter it all out. It still gives the parents the option to see both individually and together, but this is just a way that they can jump in and they can really start to see that content. So now, as you can see, what happens here is when a parent logs in the screenshot, as you see here, we have Paige Graham, that's a student. So Paige's parents log in, they click on Paige's name right here on the left-hand side, and then you have a section dedicated specifically to work. So when they click on that, they're going to see all those different projects Paige has worked on. We can see there's some painting here, some sketches, some drawings, there's some craft. So again, this is a really nice way. Parents get a head start of what the kids are working on. So again, if they are coming to those parent-teacher meetings, I'm sure some of you may experience that sort of frustration of always having to be the one that comes up with material to talk about, and maybe parents are not asking as many questions to help that conversation be sort of a two-way street. Well, when you have this is great now, because parents can come in and say, hey, I really love that one project, that's a picture of it. Especially if it's a project for any reason that cannot make their way into the student's home, they would love to come in and see those in the classroom. So you're no longer having to put together all this, a package to show family. Some of it is already here. They're now coming in asking those questions. Now, from a student's perspective, this is an amazing way to track their online portfolio throughout the time that they are at your school. So let's say we do have that really talented art student, and let's say you're a high school. They started in grade 9 and their drawings look great, but over time, they can come in here and see by the time they're finishing up their senior year, that gradual transition from when they first started doing their artwork to where they are now upon graduation. And they can see that progression over time, and they can kind of really use that as their own online portfolio. They can grab all that content, and it's just all there for them, neatly organized in a chronological order. It's hard to beat that, because students they're going to love seeing that and just having that tangible thing for them, visible and accessible, even after they graduate, should they wish to just come back to Vidigami, and as a school, you allow for that. Another really powerful way to share content with your community is through public group sets. Now, a public group set is where you can actually share your content outside of Vidigami. It's actually really easy to curate this content, and you can do things like share photos of the week or photos of the month with those families. Parents get these slideshows and then they can see the pictures without even really needing to log into Vidigami. So they're publicly accessible. Now, for those parents that have credentials, they have an option to click into the album and see more content within Vidigami. But this is often great for schools that say, hey, you know what, we want to put this on our website so that families that are thinking about our school can see what's happening in those classrooms. All you need to do is just put the best picture of the week in there. You can see there's an embed code here, so if your marketing team or whoever puts that on their website, that's it. You don't have to ever go update that code again. You just need to make sure you keep updating the album. Now, teachers, you can share things like those field trips. We were talking about field trips earlier. This is another great way to share that, because again, sometimes parents say, well, grandmas and grandpas want to see this as well. So now that's more work for you as teachers to kind of zip up those images and then send them as attachments to different parents. By these slideshows, you can actually just send everybody the same link, and they'll all have access to that, even if they want to share that with the extended family. The one thing I do want to mention, a quick tip with regards to those public slideshows, is that admin users, if you have some staff members that are a bit concerned about the time it may take to set this up, or just learning that, an additional feature that may not be something they want to get into just yet, here's a quick suggestion. You can go ahead and create those sets, pre-create them. So that way, all the teachers you really need to do now is just start contributing and curating those sets. You don't need to worry about setting that up. You don't need to worry about, how do you get that link. Let the admin users deal with that. All you need to do is just make sure you know how to go add a picture that you've already uploaded into a set. You don't have to re-upload it. You're just basically pushing it into the set. So it's a very simple process once it's all set up for you. And admin users, if you are a little concerned about this in terms of how do we set up all these different group sets, reach out to Kalina or myself. We'll work with you and we'll kind of get you all kind of set up in that process so you know exactly the steps required to do it and how you can do it. But once you get those sets set up, you can actually start putting them in your LMS class pages, and you can simplify curation on the teacher's end as well. And then you can start sharing those things like the field trips, the classrooms without walls, that awesome class you had outdoors, right? So taking those pictures and actually just putting that in front of parents, that's so amazing. So we're willing to work with you admin users and teachers to make sure that this process is super simple. But let's take a step back here and just see if any questions have come in.
So we have one come in. Do photos added to a set like this default to be shown first when the link is opened?
If I'm understanding this correctly, you're wondering about the order of the content in the set. And if that is the case, you can actually customize that. So the latest photo you add goes up to the top. However, you have the ability to organize it. So when the user does click on a link, so for example, this link here or the embed code, they actually just see a slideshow. They don't come into a Vidigami page with all the different photos in a tiled view. It's just gonna let them rotate through the images one by one. And depending on how you set that up, if you've given the image a title, it will show up. If you have not, it doesn't appear there. But so again, as you add content to a set, it's always gonna be the first one by default. And however, you can reorganize it should you change the order or prefer to change the order. And again, so if you're in the marketing team, this is also super helpful because that embed code allows you essentially to put a frame in your website that has a slideshow, and you will never have to go in and rechange that the link or the embed code based on new content. That's always going to stay the same. So all you need to do now is once that is set up, just go into your Vidigami account, go make sure you curate the set the way you want it to be, and it's just going to automatically update the page for you. So it's one less step moving forward, but it's just super, super simple because I know oftentimes schools are saying, hey, we want to put some best pictures of the week on the website so all the families that are coming in to check out our school have some visibility into what's happening, and this is a great way to do that in a very, very simple manner. Okay.
All right, so another great tool that we've actually come out with more recently is a Vidigami add-in for Office 365. So what this allows you to do is pull directly from your Vidigami account, even using sets, as Damon mentioned earlier, for your PowerPoint and Word documents. So what this does is that prepping for a presentation from a faculty point of view, it's never been easier, as you have access to an unlimited amount of content that caters directly to your students and parents. So there's no more scrounging for photos from other faculty or staff that you were at an event and may or may not have been taking photos. You can just jump right on in, and you're also not spending more of your precious time sifting through an unorganized server, which is a common complaint we hear from many of our schools. And so from there, what I do want to talk about is, of course, Vidigami is here to help you and your faculty easily share and curate their content. But the added benefit to all of this is also that it boosts your parent engagement as well, with all the tools that are available to you, whether it be student works, public sets. With minimal effort, what you're doing is sharing out fresh content with your families and providing them a customized experience of their child's day-to-day, where they can easily engage through that mobile app. And that's if they're invited to the system, or simply through those shared public sets, and where it doesn't require them to be activated. So what this in turn results in is parents who are more invested in their children and the school as a whole.
Yeah, as you guys add in your questions, one thing I do want to mention, going back to Charlotte's initial question, is if you are interested in creating slideshows with music, one solution right now may be using that Office 365 add-on, right? So you can easily bring your content into Office 365. I believe the PowerPoint tool allows you to put some form of audio clips in there, so you can still kind of, in some creative ways, create some unique slideshows. Obviously, it doesn't have that link associated with it, but again, you can save it, and if it's something that's absolutely wanted, or some students of yours wanted to create projects based on field trip pictures, or again, those classrooms where they have outside the lesson plan involves being outside the classroom. That's a really neat feature for students to have those pictures, pull it in, and then they put their presentations together with appropriate music that kind of relates to whatever they really want it to be. So that's the 365 edition is great for something like that. I think that concludes our session today, Kalina.
Yeah, I think so. So with the end of our session, we would like to thank you all for joining with us today. Remember, we have a ton of support materials and resources available to help you, and feel free to book a call with either myself or Damon if you'd like to discuss anything further. And again, don't forget to download the cheat sheet that's just included on the handout section of our GoToMeeting panel.
Yeah, and one last thing for any admins on the calls, if you are still at a point where you have not been onboarded for the new school year, please make sure you reach out to Kalina or myself. We'd love to get you going, and by getting you onboarded, you will be getting your staff in the system for the new year as well. So obviously we want to make sure that is ready for them as they get in there. So let us know if you have questions, or if you need to kind of book some time with us, but we're happy to talk about it. We've done some launch webinars as well, and we have recordings of those on our website. So if you just would rather just quickly watch those sessions, you're welcome to do that. But like I said, we're always happy to make some time to chat with you, and whether it's about launching, whether it's about onboarding, or just more strategies around how we can help get our teachers more engaged with Vidigami and what we can do to make their lives easier. Well, thank you all so much for your time today. We hope to hear from you all soon, and keep an eye out. We're going to be doing more frequent webinars for our community, so keep an eye out for those and keep signing up for them. This is really fun for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much.